What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats of every one of the weapons in CoD World War II. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the sawed-off shotgun. And first up, as always, let's have a look at the real-life gun. So this is actually based off of the Winchester Model 21 shotgun. Obviously, it's a sawed-off version of that. It looks much nicer when it's not sawed off. And the one that's used in Call of Duty World War II is most likely a 12 gauge, although technically this was produced in many different gauges. I should also mention that this is not a military shotgun by any means, so it really doesn't have much of a place in the war, but it was an interesting addition to the game. In CoD World War II, with the shotguns, you deal a base amount of damage for hitting your enemy, and then on top of that base damage, for each pellet that hits, you will deal additional damage. The base damage profile for the sawed-off is 84, 48, 42, and then we deal 2 damage per pellet that hits on top of that base damage, and keep in mind there's 8 pellets per shot. This means that our maximum damage per shot, assuming every single pellet hits, is going to be 110 up close in the maximum damage range, 64 in the medium damage range, and 58 in the minimum damage range. Our rate of fire, keeping in mind rate of fire with this gun only applies to the 2 shots and has nothing to do with the rechamber of those shells. This is 200 rounds per minute, which is a little bit faster than the Luftwaffe drilling, and with rapid fire we could bump that up to 212 rounds per minute. As for probably the most important stat to look at, this is going to be the range. So first up we have our maximum damage range, and in this range we have to hit at least 3 pellets in order to get a one-shot kill. If we hit less than 3, then we'll get a hit marker. This is exactly the same damage as the combat shotgun, although the range is just slightly shorter than the combat shotgun for this 3 pellet kill range at 6.25 meters. Next we have our medium damage range, which goes from 6.25 meters up to 10 meters, and this one requires us to hit 4 pellets over the course of 2 shots. So it's always going to take at least 2 shots to kill. There's no way of getting a one-shot kill in this range. And across both of those shots, we have to hit a minimum of 4 pellets to get a kill. What this means is with one of the shots, if we hit just 1 pellet, then the next shot we have to hit at least 3 pellets. And finally, we have our minimum damage range. This extends from 10 meters out to 15 meters. And with this one, it's technically a 2-shot kill, but you have to hit literally every single pellet. So in realistic terms, this is not likely to happen at that range. And therefore, this is normally going to be a 3-shot kill range, which if you consider the fact that this is a double-barreled shotgun, that usually means you have to hit them twice with your shotgun, then swap to your pistol and finish them off. You definitely don't want to be finding yourself within this range if you're trying to challenge people. As for advanced rifling, all it does with this shotgun is it increases the maximum hit potential, so you get a little bit of range tacked on to the end without affecting your one-shot kill potential at all, and it also reduces this minimum base damage range. So now instead of the potential of killing in 2 shots if all 16 pellets hit, it's going to take a minimum of 3 shots to kill. In realistic terms though, this doesn't really change too much as far as that goes, because generally, like I said, you're not going to be hitting all 16 pellets with those 2 shots. As for hardcore, even if we're using advanced rifling, which reduces that minimum base damage, we are 100% guaranteed to get a one-shot kill, even if we're only hitting 1 pellet. So this shotgun is actually quite good for hardcore modes. As for hipfire, as you can see, the sawed-off shotgun has the widest hipfire spread in the shotgun category, which isn't so great for core modes where you're trying to hit as many pellets as possible, but this is actually really good for hardcore modes because, like I said, you only have to hit 1 pellet. As long as you hit 1 pellet, you're guaranteed a kill, and therefore you want to spread those pellets out as much as possible so you don't have to be nearly as precise. Getting into our aim down sight spread, as you can see here, we have that pretty wide hipfire spread, and when you aim down sight, it tightens it very significantly. Not quite to the same extent as the Luftwaffe drilling, but it's still a very tight spread when you aim down sight. Moving on to our capacity, no surprises here. We can have 2 shells in the chambers at once, with 12 in reserve, and obviously we can't use extended mags on this. As for our reload times, we have 2 different reload times. If we fire 1 shell and we just want to top it off and replace that 1 shell, it takes 2.17 seconds. And if we fire both shells and we have to reload both of them, it's going to take just a little bit longer at 2.22 seconds. This is relatively slow and will often get you killed, but it is a little bit faster than the Luftwaffe drilling. Getting into our handling and mobility stats, our aim down sight as well as our sprint out time are both standard for the shotgun category at 250 milliseconds. And our movement speed is 100%, with our aim down sight strafe speed being 80%. Once again, both of these are standard for shotguns. Moving on to attachments, the attachments for the sawed-off don't really add too much value. Realistically, reflex sight is essentially useless, quick draw essentially useless since you generally shouldn't be aiming down sight with this. Steady aim is a great attachment for core modes, but I wouldn't run it in hardcore modes because like I said earlier, you want to have that really wide spread in hardcore modes. Advanced rifling is a great choice for hardcore modes because it's always going to be a one-shot kill no matter what, but in core modes, it really has no noticeable impact whatsoever. This just leaves us with rapid fire, and it's the kind of thing where it's not really helping you that much because you're only firing those 2 shots, and the time between those 2 shots is already very short. But since most of the other attachments are pretty much useless, this is often the one that I fall back on, and I just happen to pop it on there just because there's nothing better to use. So I guess you could say that's one of the upsides of the sawed-off shotgun is attachments really don't add much, and therefore they aren't really necessary. There's no crutch attachments on this shotgun. So getting into a couple example classes, I'm actually just going to share my 2 favorite classes to use, one for core modes and one for hardcore modes. They're going to be very similar, but a couple tweaks will be made. So for core game modes, with this one we're using the Airborne division. I love using Airborne with the shotguns. I don't like using Expeditionary. The fire shells or the incendiary shells on this gun aren't very good. It's pretty much the exact same story as the combat shotgun, where it actually reduces your one-shot kill potential, and also it forces you into a bunch of situations where your enemy now has time to kill you because they have to wait to burn to death after you shoot them, when if you weren't running those incendiary shells, you would have just killed them instantly. So I wouldn't recommend running those so much. Our attachments for core are going to be steady aim as well as rapid fire. Our basic training is hustle. We've got a 9mm SAP with extended mags and a sticky grenade as our lethal. As for turning this class into a hardcore class, the only thing I do is I switch out steady aim for advanced rifling because, like I said, we want a wider hipfire spread in hardcore modes because it's guaranteed to kill in just 1 pellet. And also advanced rifling is very helpful in hardcore because it actually increases our one-shot kill potential by about 13%. The only other change that I made here is I threw a concussion grenade on rather than a sticky grenade. That just ensures that I don't accidentally get a team kill. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's gun guide. Personally, my thoughts on the sawed-off shotgun, well, it has improved since that buff it got a couple months ago now, and it is a usable shotgun. There's still no reason whatsoever to use this shotgun over the combat shotgun, in my opinion. The combat shotgun has a better one-shot kill potential. The combat shotgun also isn't limited to just firing 2 shots before a very long reload. And just in general, the sawed-off shotgun just doesn't have any big upside to it. At least with the Luftwaffe drilling, for instance, the big upside there is if you aim down sight, it's a great shotgun. The sawed-off shotgun doesn't really have any sort of special ability behind it. The one thing I will say though is the sawed-off shotgun is one of the best shotguns for hardcore game modes. It's got that great wide spread, it's guaranteed to be a one-shot kill, so if you're playing hardcore and you haven't used the sawed-off yet, maybe give it a go. And with that, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what are you guys' thoughts on the sawed-off shotgun? Do you think it's in a good place where it is right now? Do you think it needs a buff? Maybe even needs a nerf? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes of Gun Guides, as always, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.